6:01, I call this meeting to order. Roll call has been taken electronically. And this meeting of the Ripon Area School District Board of Education has been properly noticed in accordance with the open meeting law and state statute 19.84 and related legal references. Our district vision: one of Wisconsin's finest school districts, fostering excellence for all through innovation. So the first thing we would like to do is we'd like to have the international students introduced.
They both came from their respective sports. So they're both in their athletic attire. This is Sarah, she is from Poland, and this is Hannah, she is from the Netherlands. So I will really turn it over to them. It's great to have, we had some foreign exchange students in the building last year, but it's great to kind of get back in that rhythm again, to have foreign exchange students. So I want to again welcome you guys, and Sarah, it's you floor first.
So I'm Sarah, I'm from Poland, and I'm from a program called FLEX. It's Future Leaders Exchange Program, so it's kind of like a stipend program, so I don't pay anything to be here, and it's like really, it's for the countries from post-Soviet countries to like get like the friendship like between the oceans. I don't know what else I can say. I mean, that's all basically. I'm really glad to be here, and I'm a senior in this high school.
What is the most interesting thing that you've seen or done, or?
I guess like everything is really different. The people are so much nicer than in Poland. In Poland, like the talks with strangers don't happen usually, and the school is so much more like modern, and the relationship between teacher and student is really more helpful for the student because you feel more comfortable around the teachers. The studying methods are also different. They're really cool because they're more like useful things you learn. I also like the whole American vibe of the school and of the city. It's really nice. It's really different than Poland. So, yeah.
Are you from a big city or a small city?
I'm from a city kind of like Oshkosh, so it's like middle city, I'd say.
What has been your favorite thing you've eaten so far, and favorite fast food restaurant you've ever been at?
Chick-fil-A. I've been to other fast food places, but Chick-fil-A is like my favorite one. I really love chicken, and it's like a really good sandwich. It was really like spicy and everything. So yeah.
All right. Well, welcome, Sarah. Like I said before, this is Hannah from the Netherlands. Hannah?
Yeah, I'm Hannah. I'm from the exchange program, the Rotary. So some of you guys know that, I think. There are before other people from the Rotary here. And I was waiting 2 years to go with the Rotary for an exchange because of COVID. It doesn't happen. And now finally. I am 18 years old. I'm also a senior here. And yeah, I don't know what to say.
No, and what has been the most interesting thing that you've done so far, or interesting thing about your stay so far?
I was with someone from the Rotary, and Rotary exchange students to Madison came in Madison to the bachelor's, and we were.
Lee Prowlitz.
Yeah, we were in the VIP.
Did you like this new setup where you're sitting?
Yeah, I like it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's smaller than my city, but it's nice. Everyone is nice. So.
And
What's your city?
Oh, go ahead.
Also like Oshkosh.
Which one?
Yeah.
So I'm just curious because I've been to Holland. I just wonder which city it is.
Yeah, it's in the north. It's Drachten.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's in the north. It's close to Groningen.
Yep.
Yeah.
What's been your favorite fast food restaurant so far?
I think Clovis.
Yeah. The custard? Do you like the ice cream there?
Yeah, the ice cream is good.
Anybody have any other questions for us?
Is there anything that you're looking forward to doing here that kind of as you were making your plans to come over here, you thought, oh, it's really something I hope to be able to do?
I have to be speaking English very well, of course, and to meet people everywhere. So
Yeah, so kind of the same for him. I hope like to get better English, learn better, and meet friends from all over the world. But I also like was hoping to go, and I know I will from like volunteer hours I will do at a football game. So that's kind of really cool for me because we don't have football in Poland. I mean, most Europe there's no football, so it's gonna be really like a great adventure.
soccer is more popular.
Yeah.
You want to talk about what sport you're in right now?
We do
We're
cross
doing
country.
cross country in the fall. We're having a meet tomorrow. But like in the winter, I'll be doing cheerleading, like the competition cheerleading. And I've already been to a few practices in the open gym, so I really like it because I did dance in Poland, so it's kind of similar. And in spring, I'll be doing track and field.
I want to do basketball in the winter and track or soccer in the spring. I don't know which one, but I like both. So
And I think the cross-country team has a camping trip coming up, so have either of you been camping?
Oh,
yeah, I did it in Switzerland.
Okay.
yeah,
But I'm not a camping.
Probably be less mountains.
I went to the camping almost every summer to either Italy or Croatia with my family, so I did that a lot. Yeah.
Well, let's welcome both of them.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming, and you can stay for the meeting, but you are also free to leave.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're gonna leave.
Anybody else want to leave?
No, but I did want to clarify that my computer is doing some special update that's supposed to take 32 minutes, so I'm going to go onto my phone. I didn't want you to think I was like surfing the net or, checking up on my social medias.
Do we have any written comments?
No, we do not.
No written comments. Has anybody signed up to speak? I don't see.
No, one has.
All right. Are there any requests to adjust the order of items on the agenda? If not, we will adopt the agenda as presented and move on and see what we have for announcement of contributions to the district, if you can see it.
It's coming up. All right. The Murray Park Charity Golf Outing brought in $20,000 worth of donations, and that will go into a student needs fund. The Ripon High School Activo Club donated $500, which is going to be used at Murray Park Quest for playground equipment. Pinnacle Plumbing donated $2,000, which is the third installment of $10,000 pledge to the Inglesfield Group. And Fortified Bank donated $2,500, and that too is a third installment of $20,000 pledge to Inglesfield. And then the following individuals donated $250 or more to the Ripon Education Foundation. So Randy and Mary Hatlin, Rebecca Miller, Becky Morin, Marion Tyler Whitrock, SSM Health, the reunion class of 1982, the reunion class of 1992, Judy Tremp, Dr. Chris and Jane Roosh, Bill and Judy Neal, and Cliff's Tire and Battery. So we're very thankful for those donations.
Indeed. Thanks to all of you, since several of you are in the room. We will move on then and welcome Sharon Zimmerman, who is the new president, I believe, of the Student Council. She will update us on what's going on with the high school.
Welcome.
Yeah, so first I'll start by talking a little bit about the beginning of the school year. So far everything has been going very smoothly. Freshmen are adjusting really well, and we're actually seeing a lot of involvement from them, and as well as other students that we just haven't had in the past years. I know with Student Council, we've had, for the first time in many, many years, we have too many people. We haven't had to host elections for student representatives in a very long time. And this year we're actually going to have to do that because we have more than 8 to 10 people interested per grade. So that's something that we've been seeing in clubs as well as at sporting events. Student sections are always great. And now the main thing that we've been working on in student council is homecoming. That is coming up in about a week. Very exciting. So we have just been putting together the themes as well as activities for the week. So the theme this year is We Got the Beat. So each day is based off of a different song. The theme was based around that song. So Monday we're having Country Camo Day, and the song is Hunting, Fishing, Loving Every Day. Then Tuesday is Partying the USA, so we're having our USA theme. And then Wednesday is Cruising for a Bruisin', and that day is Bikers versus Surfers. And then Thursday we have Neon Lights, and Friday we have Our House, which is just our Tiger Pride Day. So all that's been going really smoothly. And so far, everybody seems very excited about it. So that's basically all I have. So,
Awesome.
Thank you.
Great opportunity for some team building early in the year.
yes.
Wonderful.
And I'm sure as they explained to you, you're welcome to stay, and you're also free to leave.
Yes, I have to go get to a team meal. So,
And you were explaining it's unique because you don't normally have volleyball matches on
Yes.
Tuesdays. You actually get to do a meal on Monday.
yes, normally all of our matches are on Thursday nights, and we can't have team meals the night before because of church events. So this is a really good thing for us because we'll actually be able to take our time and actually sit down and talk to each other and things like that instead of just rushing to eat and then heading out. So, yeah.
Thank you and Joyce.
Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sharon.
All right.
I'm down to 9 minutes, so time is flying.
I am going to go in, since Josh is not here, and I did not mark him absent to start with, because last time he walked in after I did that. So I'm now going to go in and mark him absent. And I'm not sure whether you have to refresh your screens after I do that. All right. I can get back to you. Here we go. Okay, so I'm back. Is everybody here? We're on new business, and the first item is to consider approval of job descriptions for several different jobs. Is there a motion to put it on the floor?
So moved.
Motion by Andy.
Second.
Second by Gary. And is there any discussion? And the answer is yes, there is, because I have a question. I was struck by a couple of things. Let's see if I can just find it. And I want to know, how close is the job description to, how does it relate to actually hiring people? And what I'm getting at is there are things in the job description that are clearly not, they're nice things, but they will learn them on the job, some of them. So is this a description of what they're going to learn, or a description of what we're looking for when we hire people? How closely related are they?
Are you referring to the list of tasks?
Yeah, so it's, yeah,
Or
right.
at the top?
The list of tasks.
Yeah,
all
those
these
are
things.
the essential functions that they'll be doing, but certainly, often someone comes in and they might have office experience, but not within a district, so a lot of those items are going to be new for them.
Okay.
So it really is nice when they come on board with us to see a list of the general things they'll be responsible for, and then it just, I think, also opens up good conversation about, hey, I have experience in this, I'm going to need some training on this. If we're hiring, say, clerical and they've worked in another district, they might have even used our student support, our student management system. That's going to be easy for them versus if they need to
Right, okay.
to really come on board. So yeah, no, it's definitely a collaborative conversation, and that's why it's essential to have job descriptions. And we've been on a mission over the last number of years to get those and to keep them as up to date as possible. And then hopefully they kind of become a working tool that staff are using them enough that when something changes, they can recommend making an update to us so we can keep those moving forward.
And what does it mean when it says coach or advise extracurricular activities as requested?
Is that for teacher?
Yes, that one's for the two teacher ones, I think.
Yeah, well, we do have those on the the teacher ones, because we do talk about the fact that it would be very difficult to run a school district if no one wanted to do anything but their day job, that we need people to be involved and invested. And so we talk through that, generally we don't look to have someone do something their first year, but after that, if they are interested or would like to coach something, that's usually something we even talk about if they've done some coaching in the past and are interested. And often, at the elementary, we'll even use that as an opportunity as we go through that to just talk about the opportunity to tutor through grade, to have a student they want to work with.
How, I guess, when I read it, it sounds very much directive, like if we want to tell them to do it, they should be doing it, otherwise they shouldn't be here. I mean, that's the way it reads to me. And I noticed, it came up because I noticed on one of the later items, hiring a special ed teacher, we were looking for somebody willing to work with a special circumstance, and we were fortunate we found one. Mm-hmm. Well, what would we have done if we didn't find one? What do we do if people say they don't want to, for whatever reasons they have, they don't want to do something? So how, when it says as requested, how serious is that? Is that a discussion, or
it certainly is a discussion, but we might have a situation where someone's out on leave and we're really saying, hey, we need you to, So I think it's a request, but sometimes maybe a plea. I'm looking to my principals. I mean, there are times where, we really need you to do this or to cover or take something on because we haven't found someone. And I think our teachers have done an amazing job of stepping up to even start a season or coach until we're able to find someone. Because the reality is, if they don't,
and we don't
have a season.
Right.
So we may actually need someone to step up and do that, and then it's kind of that collaborative conversation. Maybe someone within this team needs to, and maybe if someone hasn't done it for a while or used to do it, they may be the best person. So.
And the last one I wondered about was the under other number 5. In the Ripon Area School District, there must be an understanding that teachers' responsibility to their students and the professional culture of the district entails the performance of duties and the expenditure of time beyond the student's school day and school year. These duties include, but are not limited to, and a bunch of them. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's obvious that they have to, there will be things that they have to do. What I wondered about is the way it's stated is wide open. It doesn't, it doesn't have any statement like, but the district also has a culture of life-work balance, and so, we balance these things, these requirements out of school and in school, which it seems to me we do. Mm-hmm. And I just wondered if, I don't know, I was struck by this, I guess, because I had just listened to 2 people not in the district, a different business, mm-hmm. who had basically just been told, we can tell you whatever we want to do, and you have to do it or you're out of here. And so I wondered if this might read the same way to people who listen to other people's responsibilities, and I wondered if it would be better toned down a little bit, if it kind of just said, doesn't leave it sounding like we can demand anything we want to do over all the summer, and, you can stay here till 10 o'clock at night. I mean, because it's not what we do, and I know it's not what we do.
And I think our handbook probably brings some balance to that.
Okay.
Yeah, but they may see the job description before the handbook, so that's something we can look at. Absolutely.
And those are just some things I wanted to know. Thank you. Mm-hmm. All right. So if there's nothing else, you can vote. And it passes 7 in favor, 2 absent. Thank you. The next item. Consider approval of teacher overload pay. Is there a motion to put it on the floor?
So moved.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Betsy. And Nate. All right, so the motion is to approve teacher overload pay for Wendy Hefner for the 22-23 school year as presented. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. And again, it passes 7 in favor, 2 absent. approval to hire professional staff. Is there a motion to put this one on the floor?
So moved.
Thank you. And a second?
Second.
Okay. So this is a motion to hire Christina Day as Barlow Park Charter Kindergarten teacher and Lee Muro as a half-time FTE science teacher at Odyssey. Any discussion? I just have one question, and I guess I'm asking you because it's about Lee. I just wonder, he's got lots and lots of experience. Does he have any experience doing virtual education? Just curious. Didn't see anything in reading about it.
I'm looking at Rebecca. I'm trying to remember. I actually thought he does, doesn't he?
He does. Just like most teachers do now, just through COVID. He was experienced in teaching high school science during COVID as well as higher education at the college level during COVID. Yeah, so he does have some experience with that.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely.
All right, I will call for the vote.
And this is an interesting just change because of a little bit lower enrollment in our 3 through 6. We didn't reduce a teacher there, but we had that teacher pick up some of the middle school science courses because they're certified through 8th grade, which is what allowed us to reduce this to half-time. Because of course we always want to retain the staff we have, but when we had an opportunity and an opening, it was possible to make that adjustment. So this position, which would have had a little more advisory to it, that will move on to the full-time teachers that are remaining at Odyssey. So,
All right. So that passes again, 7 in favor, 2 absent. And now we have approval of the consent agenda. Is there any item that anyone would like removed from the consent agenda? If not, I'll take a motion to approve the consent calendar as presented.
I move the consent agenda be approved as presented.
A second?
Second.
Thank you, Tom. And I'll call for the vote. Come on. Once again, 702. All right, that takes us to possible upcoming action items. And the first one is the academic and career planning guide for 2023-24 school year, along with the list of substantive changes. Any questions or comments, Gary?
My only question is, did something replace the Character Strong program at RHS?
can speak to that.
Nothing replaced that program. We're still utilizing it as the teacher would see fit as part of their advisory lessons. That said, the Sources of Strength program that we talked about last school year has really started to take precedence over that because we're just noticing it's such a better fit for our students and it really meets those mental health needs that we saw gaps with Character Strong. So there is still Character Strong in terms of if we need that lesson that is available for more of the social and emotional learning, like respect and kindness and kind of those buzzwords, but we've really dove into our Sources of Strength to meet what we know is our biggest need, which is our student mental health needs right now.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Anybody else? I noticed that algebra and geometry strategies are disappearing. What? They just haven't been fruitful, or?
No, I can speak to that. It's not that they haven't been fruitful. Our goal when we realigned our math curriculum was that eventually we would get all of our students to the algebra, geometry, algebra 2 track. Having offered those strategy courses over the past couple of years, I know we had it in place last year too. We had offered the algebra strategies. This year we're offering geometry strategies. So we're working to phase it out next year. And that was our goal ultimately when we created that track.
And shifting away from math in 3 semesters to math in 2. So we had to add that strategies to help students have support as they went through that.
Okay, thank you. All right. We'll move on to new course proposals for Ripon High School. Any questions or comments about those? We would have seen them in the substantive changes in the other one, so. All right, seeing none, we'll move on. So we have the nurse office assistant job description. Any questions or comments about that one? All right. Oh, I just have a question that I remember struck me when I was reading it. It's a little one. The answer may be I just missed it in the earlier ones. It says that the assistant nurse should be a role model for students in terms of being responsible and something or other. I can't remember the exact language, adult. And I don't remember seeing it in the teacher ones, and it seems just as appropriate in the teacher ones, so I wondered
Something that we can,
about that.
yeah, that we could look to add to the other ones. I know there are some specific bullets at the end of the job description that the board said we'd like these to be in all job descriptions. So if that's something that the board is interested in doing, we could certainly do that.
It seems a reasonable one, and it just struck me that it's the first time I remembered seeing it.
We're working to get job descriptions, and like our charter contracts will align all of the job descriptions. So I know that's good.
All right, we'll move on to superintendent reports.
And really just want to update you, later this week I'll be heading to Madison to be a part of the Wisconsin Association School District Administrator Fall Conference. As part of that, because we're down in Madison, we actually are able to hear from the governor and the state superintendent. We also actually spent time over at the Capitol to hear the state superintendent's State of Education address. And also spend time on Friday hearing from Wisconsin economists about kind of where we're at with population trends and movement in and out of the state and job projections and those kind of things. So as I receive those things, I'll send those out to you so that you have access to those. But if you see a bunch of those come, you know why. But it's usually a really good conference, and we're excited to be back face to face and look to get that moving forward. So.
Any questions for me? All right. Then we'll move on to curriculum. Teaching and learning reports. First one is the 2022-23 assessment timeline. Any comments or questions?
It's as robust as ever, right, Christy?
Always.
So I'm going to make a comment. You may get the impression I'm feeling guilty because I haven't been reading things in as much detail as I should, so I read them in detail. I just happened to be reading something else, and a book on assessment, a textbook on assessment, that happened to say that you should never do universal screeners within 2 weeks of the start of school because you tend to over-identify, which is bad for your resources. Probably has the effect of you reach your target goals better that way. But I noticed that we are doing universal screening right away as soon as the kids are back to school. And I wondered if anybody ever thought about that maybe we should delay it a little bit so that their summer melt gets a little bit behind them and they get back into the swing of things.
At the K-2 level, we definitely have pushed that window back for both iReady and for the BAS for exactly that. Sure, absolutely. It is certainly up to the teacher's discretion as to when they begin that. We absolutely have those conversations, though, that the first couple of weeks are really about building those routines and things with our students. And that the timelines that you see there are really windows. So many of them are they're digital. So really, the teachers have the discretion to go in and really start those whenever they feel that their students are ready to do that. But absolutely, we promote that as well, that it really, we need to get kids acclimated, to their environment so that they are comfortable. And really, at the K-2 level, especially acclimating them to the platform itself, because for many, that's their first experience with the online assessment.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Might as well stay there.
Okay.
The next one is the highlights, curriculum department highlights. Anybody have anything to talk to Christy about there? Any questions, comments? All right, so I do. So I know some things about the ELL program, but I don't talk about it. A lot of things I don't talk about with my wife. So I want to get that out there first of all. So some of this hit me kind of by surprise. And I don't really understand some of it. So there's some things I just don't understand. There's some things I have comments about and some things I don't understand, and I'd like you to explain. First of all, in key points on the translation interpreter request for staff, appropriate and competent translators or interpreters should have proficiency in target languages, ease of written and oral expression, knowledge of specialized terms or concepts, as well as be trained in their role, the ethics of interpreting and translating, and the need for confidentiality. There's a lot of stuff hidden in there. And I'm just wondering, to me, I assume that that is the place in here where we're actually saying siblings, children, teachers should not be used as translators and interpreters, which is what the federal government says. And I can get that out of that language, but it doesn't leap out at me. And I know that it's a practice that has happened throughout the school district in the past. So I'm wondering if it would be better to find a stronger way of making that clear. Because I know that for many people, that's the first thing they think about. Well, so-and-so's sister's here, and we can just have her do this, and that's not supposed to be happening.
Yeah. I know the language that is in that key point section actually comes directly from our DPI guidance from our EL handbook. Again, I think the thing that we need to keep in mind is that it's guidance. Again, I wanted to make sure that that language remained the same as what is communicated through DPI with the EL program.
So you're encouraging this to be the model?
The federal government, because I've read it, has a much stronger one, and that surely applies to us as well. It says straight out, don't use siblings, don't use teachers who are not trained as interpreters just because they speak the language. It would seem to me that the DPI for sure we pay attention to, but surely we pay attention to the federal recommendations as well. And I'm just wondering why we're not. Because are we not going to say it because we are going to ask students to do it or teachers to do it?
I think that we have to be careful to say if that's the only way we're going to communicate. If we would have a family come in that speaks the language and we don't have, a translator, we're going to do the best we can in that moment to communicate with them while we may be trying to find a translator. And if you say you can only speak with that translator, you're stopping all communication until that translator's present. And I don't think that's our intention, but I do think it's that caution that we want to be at the highest level possible. So while we may do some things to say, hey, let's wait for a translator, or we need to schedule a meeting, or I'm going to have you speak with this person who has knowledge of that language, and we may have a student help us have that conversation. This is certainly kind of just saying, this is, we'd rather be higher on this tier than say, well, you're here and you're at the IEP, so let's have you do the training. That wouldn't be appropriate.
Okay.
But
because it has been done before, and I want to make sure it's not. I also know that suggestions have been made that teachers can speak Spanish because for us, Spanish is the most. I understand the special cases, but we do have teachers who speak Spanish, and I have had parents of EL students tell me, I can't understand her and she can't understand me. So we may think it's working, but it's not working. And so I feel quite strongly that since both the federal government and DPI say you should not be doing these things, that the only time we would ever do it is the kind of situation that you brought up. Because otherwise we're supposed to have interpretation and translation facilities available.
And I would say if you ever have a situation where someone's communicating that to you, that we want to get that to Chrissy as soon as possible, and not wait, because then we can address the situation, find out how it happened, who was maybe involved, and address it. So the sooner if someone were to come to you with a concern, certainly let us know so it can be addressed.
Okay, then farther down here, I noticed that our interpreter has kind of been pulled out of the loop in many ways. She has got a new phone number, which is not supposed to be shared with anybody. And as I understand it, families are supposed to contact the school if they're in need of things.
Initially, one of the things that we are certainly trying to do is to streamline that communication directly between the staff member and our EL families, knowing that at any point we can certainly request EOHEMIA services, which we do. And again, you know, the EL team helped develop kind of these different levels of support to put that together. It certainly may not encompass every situation, but again, the purpose is to really streamline that so that the communication between the families is really happening directly with the teacher who needs to do that communication with the support of EOHEMIA if we would need her assistance.
What I don't understand is if a family comes to town and the parents don't speak the language, which has happened on several occasions, why would we ever expect them to get in touch with the school? They're not going to understand what's happening. It just seems to me that that's an impossible situation. And I've been around this population for 25 years, and I know perfectly well they don't. And EOHEMIA is the glue. She's the bridge between those families and the school district, and we're taking her out of the loop. And I think we're going to pay for it because literally she's the reason they all understand. She helps them understand the school district. She knows that when they're working 2 shifts, they can't talk to people necessarily during the day, and she's open to talking to them when they're available to talk. And now we're making that really, really difficult to happen. And I don't understand why we want to take a program that has been a DPI model program and cut out one of the major pieces that has made it so successful, where last year one of our commencement speakers was a student who came here as a non-English speaker completely. We've had some real successes. And when the students are non-English speaking, the parents frequently are just as bad. And I don't understand why we would want not to have EOHEMIA able to communicate with them readily and for them to communicate with her readily when that's been so successful for us.
Yeah, I would say that for anyone coming to the community, they're speaking to someone to get EOHEMIA's number. We would want that first step to be to connect with the school so that we can establish that relationship and that connection. And really the phone number, the change with that, there wasn't a cell phone number in the past prior to COVID, and we're looking to kind of move back to the process that we had before. Again, our goal is to have our staff be that first contact, for the school to be that first contact, and then have the staff request that translation service and bring EOHEMIA in that way. And in that way, we're not, shifting that role where EOHEMIA is acting more as a liaison versus translating or interpreting for the staff member. So it's really trying to get back to the model we had before COVID, but then it kind of became literally in EOHEMIA's tagline a 24/7 connection with her, and we really want to make sure that we're working with our staff, and our staff are part of those conversations and connections, and able to be a part of that, and it would be EOHEMIA, the family, and the staff member.
And you don't think the EOHEMIA establishes those relationships with the teachers? Why does it have to start with the teacher? Because I don't think they're going to go to the teacher. How are we going to measure the success of this?
Again, we would like whoever the close family contact or whoever as a family comes into town, they're obviously connecting to someone to get EOHEMIA's number. When that person is making a referral, we'd like them to refer the family to the school if they're working on something related to education.
Do you think that's going to happen?
that's what we're working with the Eugenio to communicate and connect, so that as soon as someone would reach out or make a connection, that we're getting them to the school to connect with staff. That's our goal. And we'll review it this year as the team works on it.
One thing we're, absolutely trying to communicate to our families is that we do want that direct communication between the teachers also. That's a really important piece. One of the things that we have started to use is we are using Talking Points. It's an app, which it's really neat because it allows our teachers, and I know Eugenio just installed this as well, to be able to communicate to our families. They select the language that they want to receive the communications, and it really, you speak into the app, or you can speak into it, and it automatically translates the language as well. So
They don't work that well.
Well, we're working with families and getting feedback and interaction with it, so it's something that we're trying out and working that other districts have used with some success, and will not only be for our Spanish-speaking families, but for families who may come in with other languages as well.
So it says in here, written translations of classroom documents, newsletters, etc. Use translation tools, Google Translate, and so on. Google Translate is notorious for you translate it, and then you put the translation back in and translate it back, and you get garbage. Google Translate doesn't work. Why do we want to rely on it?
Well, I think if you look here, there's a series of different types of communications that we would look to do that with. What we're recognizing is that it is not possible for every document in every classroom to be translated into the student's native language, and that wouldn't be an expectation. If there's something that a teacher feels is truly urgent, important, it's not something like an IEP or something like that, but that they want to make that connection, that those are certainly things they can do. When we're looking at district-wide communication, grade level reports, class permission slips, legal documents, all of the things that we've always used our translator for, we would continue to do that. But we don't want a situation where a teacher has created 6 documents for their individual classroom and they're sending those to a Eugenio to be translated, because the reality is, with all of the teachers in the district, if everyone were sending her documents to translate for their immediate work that week in the classroom, it would be way too much. So if there's something that they want to do to make it feel a little more personable for their families, they can certainly use those devices, but we would look for those bigger district grade level grade reports or school level communications to be translated. And we really want to work with the Eugenio to make sure those are translated in Spanish, because those are really critical.
we're also educating our families on how to use the translation feature on our district website, which is available as well. So just, again, just providing that support to our families and really helping them, be able to see that communication more so in their home language with that direct.
While protecting Eugenio as well. Because at the beginning of the year, to receive a document that says, I really like this for my classroom, and I can get it back in 24 hours, that'd be great. And that's not, when we know we've got 6 other district level things that are more urgent that we really need to get.
So I think one thing you need to do is you need to work with teachers, because I know one of the problems is teachers are very poor about getting their grade reports out to her for comments out to her for translation early. That's the kind of thing.
And those are the kind of things we'd like to be
Thank
able to work on.
Thank you. You're released. Jonah's turn.
Thank you, Chrissy.
General Fund Interim Budget Report. Anybody have any questions? Anything we should know, Jonah, that we might not have noticed?
I don't think so. It's really early in the school year. This is just through August, and we don't usually have a ton of activity because our 9-month staff our 10-month staff, however you want to call it, they don't start until September with payroll. So there's a lot of things that just aren't visible yet, and there's a lot of budget items that are yet to be determined as well, for things like open enrollment out and things like that. So a lot of important pieces are yet to be discovered and corrected. So,
all right. School operations reports. Anybody care to make any comments about any of them? We always appreciate them, but anything in particular stuck out that you wanted to say anything?
I would like to call out the Odyssey Report. The recording for the, I think it was the grade 7 through grade 12 parents. I listened to that recording and I was just blown away by the level of detail and care that we have in Odyssey for the students and the parents. I mean, it was tremendous. I had no idea. I mean, it's very complex. It's a complex operation from what I gathered. And I thought the teachers did an outstanding job trying to explain everything. And then their openness to communicate with the parents and the students is just, it's really great. And I was very impressed by that. So
Thank you so much.
I congratulate you and your staff. It was really, really great.
Thank you. I appreciate you taking the time to watch that. I know it was an hour plus, but probably gave you really good insight into the information that students and parents both alike need in order to be successful at with the Headrush program and campus and so forth at Odyssey. And just kind of speaks to the level of involvement that we have from parents at Odyssey, which is wonderful, but the more that we can help them to understand, they can help to better support our students as well, which is just a win-win situation for everyone. Thank you.
Anybody else? All right. Then we have the charter school annual reports. Any comments or questions about any of those? A little bit dry. No, we seem to be doing well. So we'll move on. And that takes us to moving into closed session. So could I have a motion to convene into closed session to cover the items mentioned?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. We should be able to vote. All right. We will clear the room and convene in closed session then. Thank you all.